Welcome everybody to Beat the Shift Baseball. This is episode 130 for Tuesday, May 17th. I'm Alex Uwe. I'm here today with Farbod Markazi and Ray Estrada. Halfway through May, so we got a pretty good sample size to work with by now. We're going to see who's on some crazy pace to this point still. And this hasn't slowed down Bryce Harper yet, but he has a recent injury that's probably going to be trouble for the Phillies. We'll get into that in a bit. But to start us off here, Albert Pujols, the king, back in St. Louis, gave the show that I don't think anybody knew that they wanted or needed, but by God, did it make for one of the best endings to a game of the year to start off. Ray, what'd you think? King Albert stuff on the mound. How did it stack up, you think?
The pitching machine was... it was a fun moment, but he didn't pitch well.
It's not about that, man. Like he's there to put on a show. He's got a little showmanship. I think there were some great moments mixed in there. Do you not agree that just that aspect alone makes it one of the highlights of the season?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I dislike the moment, but yeah, it was definitely fun with the whole pageantry of it all, and second oldest guy to make his pitching debut.
Yes,
was it Ichiro?
Who was the oldest
guy?
That would have been my guess. I actually haven't looked this up, but
I know Ichiro in his last season, he had a similar moment where he basically was like, "Oh, can I go out there?" And he didn't pitch like awfully well, but it's one of those
Ichiro
wonderful
sliders. That was
moments.
what was impressive about Ichiro pitching.
Yeah,
I mean, he knew he could do everything. So
everybody knew that Ichiro was a good pitcher and wanted to pitch. This is totally in a different realm. Like nobody knew. It was, I don't think it crawled into anybody's heads. Like, what if Albert got an inning this year? Like, man, that was something else. And just the little moments too. Like Longoria got a hit off of him. Asked for the ball. First hit off of Hall of Famer Albert Pujols. That's gotta be kept. That's Hall of Fame stuff right there. And he also gave up the first home run of the year to the pitcher spot, I believe. And that was Luis Gonzalez, position player pitching for the Giants in the top of the inning in a blowout game on Sunday Night Baseball there. And I believe that's true that Ohtani hasn't hit a home run as the starting pitcher, or like while he's in the game as a pitcher still this season yet.
Well, he will. I mean,
yeah,
if I remember,
he's not the first. But he's not the first.
Yeah, he's not. But he will. Don't worry.
So that was a sneaky little tidbit in there. Speaking of, the Angels had their own candidate for maybe like the best game in Angels, non-World Series related game in Angels history, with Reed Detmers throwing the no-hitter, Anthony Rendon going up there hitting the lefty homer, just home runs by all the big bats. Like what? I don't know. How was that whole experience from you? Any big takeaways there?
Yeah, I have two major takeaways. First of all, what happened? That game was, if you're saying one of the best playoff non-World Series moments in Angels history, it has to be top two, and it may not be two. It's absurd. You have the rookie throwing a no-hitter. You have a right-handed hitter with his shin guard still on his left leg, going to hit lefty, hitting a home run off of an outfielder pitching, who might be the funniest guy in baseball. Absurd. And then the second takeaway I have is to always invest into your experiences. I told Alex this, Ray, but I'll tell you this. The day before the game, my girlfriend and I, we had those tickets for that game in our cart, and then I just closed the computer. Instead of buying tickets and going to one of the best games we could have probably ever gone to, we didn't. So,
gonna haunt you forever.
That's my main takeaways.
Forever, man. You're never gonna forget about that one.
I'll take it as I'm saving for other stuff. I'm going to 2 games this week, so I'll
nice.
Hopefully
he's not gonna miss. He's not gonna miss a single moment to be sure, going forward.
Never.
Could you
Never.
could you imagine going back to the Pools game? Like if you leave early in a blowout game there, Sunday night, like okay, we got this one wrapped up. That was fun, and you leave the stadium and miss seeing Albert Pujols
That's why I
pitch.
don't like leaving games early.
That's
Yeah,
What are the whys
there's
right
there's
there?
no chance.
No,
No chance.
Baseball gets
It-
really fun. Baseball can get really fun sometimes when it's a blowout. That's when weird stuff happens.
the
yeah,
best part was I saw a tweet after that game that said, "Imagine showing up to like driving to the ballpark that day and being like, what's the craziest thing that could happen?" I don't even think Albert Pujols being on the mound would be like in
no,
someone's
no,
mind as a
nobody thought of it.
possibility.
Nobody thought
No,
of it, which is what makes it
no.
really cool. So yeah, so just some really cool baseball moments to kick it off. Main bulk of what we wanted to do today is talk about some major pace going on right now. We're about between 30 and 40 games in the season for most teams out here at this point. That's a pretty good sample size, and we're gonna do a new segment which we might bring back at some point. We're calling it Pace Pals, where we're gonna buy or sell on a bunch of different pace related stats, um, going on for the rest of the year. It's a big sample size. It's no more of this, you know, ridiculous. He's on pace for 162 homers because he homered on the first game of the season. No, like these are some legitimately
Bye.
interesting. Yeah, exactly. These are more interesting at this point in the year. So,
I think that pace is also incorrect because if he homers in the first at bat, it'd be like 500 homer pace.
No, it's a per
you,
game basis.
you know what I mean.
Oh,
You
you're
know what I
doing it by
mean.
per game. I do home runs by at bat, but okay.
I guess I'll go ahead and clarify too. We're gonna start with some teams here just on their win paces, but when we do get to the players, we're gonna go off of um, Fangraphs. I believe it's like games played percentage stats. So it's assuming they play the same percentage of the season the rest of the way as they have to this point. So it's not it's the pace standard for stat heads out there. Let's start with my team. Not to we've gone in 7 minutes in the show and haven't talked about the best team in baseball yet, and that's the Yankees, man. That's the Yankees still on pace for 119 wins, which that's pretty high, but not unreasonable if you watch this team lately. I'll start with you, Ray, and one guy who I think is like taken the league by storm. Outside of the obvious Aaron Judge, Stanton, just monsters out there mashing. And we got to talk about Nasty Nestor as a big reason why this team has had some success. I mean, what is it with him? What's the key here with Nasty Nestor?
He's striking guys out this year. Well, I mean, he's not on the list here, but he's on pace for like 230 or something like that, and
Yep.
not overpowering stuff, but he's picking his spots, hitting his corners, and going deep into games, striking a bunch of guys out. He's doing really well, and for how middling my fantasy team is this year, he's been a nice bright spot in terms of the pickups this year. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and as a Yankees
he's
fan,
made a huge difference for that starting rotation.
who that's all we hear. That's all we hear throughout the offseason is we need to go out and get a number 2 guy. We just had one laying around, waiting in the wings.
Nestor was laying around.
He's just
Probably
waiting.
he's a fun dude.
He's just taking care of Bronxy the turtle and waiting for his big moment. He was good last year, but this year is totally different
Yeah.
level.
I did really like his stuff when I saw him last year, and glad that I have some type of eye for talent still.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, and then the rest.
So
Oh yeah,
go ahead. I was just going to actually ask the actual question of both of you buying or selling this win pace.
I'm
totally
selling the win
unbiased.
pace.
Totally unbiased. I'm buying. Just because it's clicking in ways that maybe people, I don't know, aren't even thinking too. Because obviously you have Aaron Judge playing like MVP caliber self, which he hasn't really done since his rookie year, where he should have won MVP. And we'll get into more pace stuff later too. At 57 homer pace for Aaron Judge right now. That's about on par with what he was doing his rookie season, and then just everything else around him, kind of feeding into that. You've got Stanton, who's doing what he's supposed to do. Joey Gallo's actually been much better than last year, and is actually being a productive bat. Anthony Rizzo, Josh Donaldson needs to turn it around, but still up in there. DJ LeMahieu's kind of back to his normal self. They're just kind of firing on all cylinders. That's all it is. We aren't used to that with the Yankees at all. There's always injuries or underperformances, something big going on. But no, this is kind of what
I would
it was built to do.
well 100%. That's what it was built to do, and I mean, with this team, we talked about it the last time you and I recorded. I don't think Ray was there, but we talked about it and saying in a month we could easily be talking about the Yankees on a 15-game losing streak because this team, while they are built to do this, they've gotten very streaky before. At the beginning of the season, pitchforks were out for Aaron Boone to be fired, for Cashman to go, and then like 2 weeks in, everyone was celebrating. They still are. So I think that's still yet to be seen of how long this can continue, how long Aaron Judge and Stanton can stay in the lineup consistently, knock on wood. The only interesting tidbit, but I don't even think it is too interesting, is I went and took a look at all the teams that we're going to talk about today, their schedules. The Yankees have played 7 of their 34 games against teams that are currently today over 500. And that those 7 games have all been against the 1 game over 500 Toronto Blue Jays. So if you want any reason to maybe doubt it, you could argue that they've been just beating bad teams. But it's, I mean, there's outside of like some of the teams we're talking about today and some of like the more interesting teams right now, a lot of teams have started off really slow. So it's just a matter of, do you believe that this is just because they're beating up on worse competition, or if they are legit who they're like showing themselves to be?
Yeah,
I
I
still
don't
have
know.
concerns over the starting pitching depth. Like we mentioned, like Nestor Cortez has been great. And not saying he's gonna fall off, but 1 through 5 is maybe not the most inspiring in terms of like winning 119 games, which is, like you said, an insane pace. So, like that's why I'm selling the pace. Not saying they're gonna win under 100, but like Farbod mentioned, it's been against okay competition, teams that are disappointed so far this year, but also that's just baseball's hard to sustain at this pace. That's just the bare end of it.
This
Yeah,
is the Yankee. This is the best of the best the Yankees are going to show us, probably
Yeah.
this year. You're just hoping that they're not peaking too early against
I was about to ask
inferior
Louis, like, Louis, are you nervous that the
inferior
Yankees are
competition.
Yankees are peaking right now and not like
Yeah,
September, October?
well,
I mean, look, sorry, you can talk in a second. The other teams we're talking about, I
Quiet
have
you.
those same stats with them too, and there is a correlation in terms of games against teams over 500 or not, and how they're doing. But yeah, continue.
um, I think everything within this segment just has the assumption, barring injury, like it's no fun to say like, well, if they still healthy, like obviously if they stay healthy, then things will work out. I don't think they're playing above their heads though. I'm not worried about peaking or any of that kind of business, because I mean, if they can do it now, then they're capable of doing it at any point. It can't be understated that the bullpen is absolutely insane, probably the best in baseball to this point. So it makes me a little bit less worried about the starters. You got guys like Jameson Tyone in there still, who are definitely injury risks, but you stick them out there for 5 innings and then clean up the rest of the game. Um, it's definitely a lot more attainable when you look at it that way. Um, and then yeah, bad competition. You got to take care of business. That's part of the deal, right? Like they're 25-9.
Yeah,
They've done that. Um,
that's the
yeah,
area I'll 100% agree with you. Is if you'd feel more worried if they weren't beating these teams.
absolutely. So yeah, I think that's enough. That's enough Yankees talk, and that's yeah, I could do it all day. But let's get to our other bit of bread and butter here on Beat the Shift, and that's the Angels. We already gave them a little love here with one of the best games of the year, but they're on pace for 105 wins this year. Not expected to do that at all entering the year. And you talk about firing on all cylinders. They've got their two MVPs in Trout and Otani, and they just threw one more in there for good measure in Taylor Ward. Yeah. So, what's going on here? Are you? I know you're buying Farbod. You want to tell us why?
I'll buy the 100 win pace. I'm not sure about the 105. I think a lot of it is, once again, I mean, it's not as high profile injuries as the Yankees have had the issues, but we've talked year in and year out, like there must be something up with the Angels training staff with all the injuries they go through and all the extra pitchers and all the extra um like bodies they have to have every single season. So that's like barring injury. If I'm definitely buying how good they are. I mean, this lineup, I said at the beginning of the year, the Angels are, and I said it last year too. The difference between the Angels being having pitching and not is, sorry, let me continue. I said last year going into the year that if that lineup, and I understand Taylor Ward's been really good and I came out of nowhere, if that lineup had pitching, adequate pitching, they're not only playoff contenders, they're World Series contenders. Because the lineup is no longer required to go out there and score 8 runs a game to beat you 8-6. Now we can win 4-1, 5-2, stuff like that. I understand they're losing 6-3 right now, but that's that's a misnomer. That's okay. I do have to be fair. I do have to be objective. If I brought up the stats about the Yankees, I'm also going to bring it up about the Angels. 10 of the 37 games they've played have been against teams over 500. So that's a greater percentage of games that they've played against good teams, but still they're not playing the best of the best right now. But it's very promising. I buy the 105. The Yankees are third in baseball in starter ERA. The Angels are fourth at 2.97. If they can get another reliever, maybe a starter, I completely buy this.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be an interesting point of conversation come the trade deadline. Absolutely, that's a new one. Angels buying at the deadline. Um, but yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and move to the next one, Ray. I know, but I'm gonna give you this one here, which maybe you're a little bit happy about so far, and that's the Braves on a mere 74 win pace coming off of their championship season. So I don't know. Are you buying that? Are you buying that they really have taken a step back from last year?
I that statement
This big of a
kind of,
step
but not
back.
really. I mean, they got Olsen, who's tearing it up right now, or was tearing it up at least. But yeah, they replaced Freeman with him. Acuna's back. We'll see how he kind of gets into the groove of the rest of the season. The starting pitching depth and the bullpen depth is still their biggest question mark. And remember, this team won 88 games last year, and that was with a pretty torrid second half. I think we talked about that in our recap podcast last year. So this is kind of what the Braves were last year, early on, just struggling with some guys having good years and stuff like that, and then we'll see if they can turn on for the second half. If the pitching depth, if they add to it, or maybe nobody wants to help them this year and they miss out on the playoffs, especially with the Mets looking a lot better than they were last year.
I'll buy this. I want, like Ray said, they were never this dominant team last year. I know it's surprising because they they won the World Series, but they got hot. That's the best time of the year to get hot, is if you're in the playoff hunt. Getting hot into late September, early October, that's when you want to get it. They have holes on the team, and I mean, I expect them to improve their win pace and not end at 74. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if they have a big step back this year.
I think
Yeah.
the other thing too, I mean, not saying Olsen is the issue, but they lost to Lair, their World Series MVP. I don't know how much he hurts you over a full season, but the whole Freddie Freeman deal, in terms of lowballing him and the fact that they went to arbitration with Austin Riley and won, I don't think that really helps the mental side for your defending World Series champs.
You guys want the stat?
The stat. Let's hear it.
So just like how the Yankees and Angels had played only 27% of their games against teams over 500. The Braves have played 61%. 20 of their 34 games have been against teams over 500 currently today. So they have played against better competition. They've started off cold, so they got time to turn around. Marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, I guess considering one entire division in in that National League is over 500 or better, falling into that, that's not as surprising. But yeah, I don't know, I buy, obviously. I predicted them to miss the playoffs, and I think I said something kind of on the same note as what Ray was saying, is that they're gonna be too blinded by the tears of crying over the loss of Freddie Freeman that they won't be able to make it all the way. I don't know. We'll see. That might just come back to bite me if they get hot. One more team to throw in there on the downside here is the Red Sox, on pace for 62 wins. This does put a smile on my face. I don't. Do we buy that? That's really bad. I don't know if anybody buys something that atrocious.
I don't buy 62 wins and just like full blown bottom dwellers, but if they are at that pace, they're definitely gonna be selling at the deadline. It might be more than just some random guys. It might be their core. Uh, they've they've played like less than half of their games against teams over 500, so it's still like a sizable amount, but it's not even that much. And the reason I buy this even more than I would buy the Braves win pace is the Yankees are great. The Rays are going to be the Rays. And they're going to be consistent. They're going to, even when you don't think they are, they're going to end up at 90 wins. And then the Blue Jays, they started off cold. They're only one game over 500. And I only expect them to continue to improve. So the Red Sox are going to have a majority of their games against like that division. And yeah, they're going to play the Orioles. But that's a tough division to try to fight back your cold start.
Yeah, Ray,
Yeah,
buying or selling?
I'll buy the big setback. Maybe not necessarily 62 and not necessarily 100 losses, but I mean, I think you could. I think a lot of people were saying it before the season. This team's not built all that well. Um, Adding Story, I think, was nice, and he's been just super cold. That's just bad luck. But I mean, you're probably going to lose Bogarts at the end of the year. Probably going to lose JD Martinez. They lost Eduardo Rodriguez, who was arguably their ace last year in free agency. Just no starting pitching. That Walker was good, and then he got hurt conveniently right as I picked him up in fantasy. But yeah, they're just nothing's clicking for them this year, and there's no. It's hard to see how they get it fully turned around to even be on the fringe of playoff contention this year.
Yeah, I don't know if they do. And like Farbod said, those guys might be gone earlier. We'll see. Maybe they leapfrog the Orioles. Maybe. All right, let's get on some crazy player pace here. Um, I don't know if these ones are so much buy or sell as is just like ridiculous pace with some of these. Jose Ramirez is on pace for 162 RBI. I just thought that one had to be in there. Uh, are you buying? You buying 162 RBI?
Sell.
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
gonna sell that.
I love Jose Ramirez.
I want to take this the stat to apply to, we talked about 2020 season and all that. Jose Abreu had 60 RBIs in 60 games in 2020, winning AL MVP, and to me that's still like one of the most ridiculous stats. Like going like he literally averaged an RBI a game. I know it was a short one, but geez.
Yes, and quick math here: 162 RBI would match that pace of
Yeah,
one
it
RBI
would
per
match
game.
that pace.
There you
That's
go.
what I'm saying.
So yeah, that one is just a little bit silly there. Here's an interesting one: Byron Buxton, Yoran Alvarez, obviously mashing the ball. Both 51 homer pace guys right now. Who do you think ends up with more the rest of the way between Buxton and Alvarez?
I would say Alvarez. I think he's the more consistent power hitter and also less of an injury risk, even though he was hurt.
Yeah, this one's interesting because both of them just complete injury nightmares. So,
like let's just say they play an equal amount of games. Let's not say how many games that is for either of them.
Okay, yeah.
I think Jordan Alvarez is a more consistent power threat, although Buxton's turning into a huge power guy. But I think Jordan Alvarez is just a little bit more than Buxton.
I'll back that up. We have to stop agreeing on these things, but I'll back that up.
No, you don't have.
It's
You go with your gut. You don't worry
it's
about what he says.
Yeah,
my gut
it could be
is
like me and
Jordan
Rudy doing an
Alvarez.
entire fantasy podcast together and agreeing on every single point.
My gut tells me that Jordan Alvarez is going to have more home runs hit over the left field porch than Byron Buxton will have trying to get the ball over a target field fence. So I think Jordan Alvarez is once like you said, Ray. He's a more consistent power hitter. He's like a prototype power hitter, but also ballpark factors. I don't even know if
Yeah,
divisional
he
factors
can hit it like a lazy fly by the left and have like 10 homers that way.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know if division like factors in that much. I was trying to think of that because the A's, the Rangers, there's some teams in the Astros division that aren't too hot, but it's not like the AL Central is too great either outside of the White Sox, you know. So I'll buy Jordan, but I won't buy Byron as much.
Okay. Just throwing it out there too. Judge 57 homer pace, Stanton 48. It's not bad. Rizzo, I think, also over 40 homer pace. Just putting that out
Who
there.
do you think ends up with more? You're the Yankee fan.
It's gotta be Judge. It's gotta be. He's a monster.
Man. Why that has to be the obvious answer. He's in a contract
Yeah.
year. He's
Contract year.
yeah. This guy's gonna suddenly magically be healthy all year and hit like 58 home runs.
Yeah, we have
Then-
Buxton, Alvarez, Judge, and Stanton listed, who is up all 50 around 50 homer paces. Who ends up with more? Like all these guys could like just like break in the next week.
Yeah, any other year. That's an
Hey,
all IL team right there.
Uy, I really want to know what their games played paces are because I feel like that's a better buy or sell than their home
Well,
runs.
it's based on this. It's based on this season, so they've all been healthy to this point in the season. So that's just assuming they're healthy. Okay, let's. I got a couple more here. Dylan Cease, 285 strikeout pace as a starter. That's a lot of strikeouts. Nobody really does that anymore. That's serious ace potential right there. You buying or selling?
I'll buy a 285 strikeout pace. Cease's stuff is like legit, and if he finds that control that he's kind of been missing early on in his career and just starts dialing it in, that stuff is nasty, and he can easily go 250 to 300 strikeouts. Especially with the way that the White Sox like to just give their guys innings.
I'm not sure why you're saying we don't see that much anymore. I mean, Garrett Cole, 2019, 326. Chris Sale, 2017, 308. Kershaw, 2015, 301. Scherzer, 2018, 300. I could keep going.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Can you keep going? Because that's elite company right there. Not everybody's doing that. So
Scherzer, Verlander, Scherzer.
Yeah, if you're buying that, he's up there with those
Scherzer.
guys. He's up there with those guys if you're buying that.
I mean, I think you could argue after his year last year, he was on an upward trajectory of like the stuff's elite. He's a great pitcher, and if he's doing it now, I think he can continue doing it.
All right, let's see it, Stash. Let's see it. One more that's really interesting, actually, is that Josh Hader and Taylor Rogers, now in the Padres, both on 60 save pace for the season. Nobody saved 50 last year. Did anybody even say 40 last year? I have to check that. Because there might not have been a total of 40 last year. But yeah, you guys buying or selling? 60 save potential in a season?
See, saves are tough because it all depends on team. Like,
Yeah.
They could win the same amount of games, but because they won a certain game by 4 runs and not 3, it's not a save. But if you're looking for candidates to have 60 saves, it is Hader and Rogers in the way that their teams use them. Hader is going to get pretty much every save opportunity, especially he can go multiple innings too. He's proven that in the past. And Rogers, the way the Padres like to have a closer, and they don't have much else in the back end of that bullpen that has closed games consistently. So they are going to get the bulk, if not 100%, of the save opportunities for their teams this year. It just depends on if they have enough for them to get to 60.
I'm going to sell Josh Hader getting to 60, but Uwe, to answer your question, the leader in saves last year was Mark Melancon for,
Yep.
you guessed it, the San Diego Padres.
I
He
was
had
gonna throw that
39
out there.
saves.
Yeah.
And if there's one team that's going to get all those saves again, it's going to be Rogers.
The Padres have a great history of finishing below 500 and like leading league in saves.
Yeah, I'll believe in Rogers. I'll buy that.
Yeah. Okay. Just kind of interesting to throw in there too. That's enough for the pace today. I think we did a pretty good job there to pick out some big standouts. Real quick, Bryce Harper has a partially torn UCL. So this is obviously something that players can play through, especially position players. He's not a pitcher. He doesn't have to go out in there and throw. But he is not going to play the field at all for the next month. And so that means at least a month where Bryce Harper is going to have to be the DH if he plays. And, it worked out pretty well for him, I'd say. He was the National League Player of the Week last week, and they did take it to the Dodgers on the road. Barely held him off, mind you, in a couple of those games. But, it didn't look like a problem there. This is a team going into it. They were built around their new DH, and Bryce Harper kind of eliminates any flexibility they have there. Schwarber and Castellanos, namely having to play them in your corners in the outfield, and not really having a standout center fielder, mind you, too. That might spell some trouble for them in the middle part of the season here. What do you guys think? You guys think the Phillies are gonna be okay with their already atrocious defense getting a good amount worse?
Are you talking okay as in they're going to finish 500 as they always do because they still don't have any pitching? Or are you talking about are they going to be okay because Bryce Harper is going to still be an MVP candidate?
Yes.
There you go. That's my answer. They're not going to be up there. They have 1-2 good pitchers. Other than that, I can't buy I'm an Angels fan. I can't buy the whole we're going to mash our way to success model. That's just not going to happen. So no matter what happens to Bryce, I hope he's back in the outfield soon. This is going to hurt the Phillies defensively, as if their pitching didn't need more issues
As if their
to
defense
deal with.
wasn't already bad enough.
Yeah, exactly. So this isn't going to be, his injury isn't going to take him from being a true playoff contender to a way below 500 team. It's just not going to be great for them regardless.
It's okay, Kyle Gibson and Zach Eflin and Ranger Suarez. I think you guys are pretty good. I think they have more than 2 good starters. But yeah, no, that's going to be a problem. That might be a little bit of a problem for them. We might see some really ugly games going forward here with them. I just thought that was worth throwing in there too. Yeah, do we want to just get right into sliding by here?
Let's do it. Cue
right.
theme music.
Yeah.
We'll get some type of music in a second at some point in at some podcast. But we got a double dip of sliding by this week. So we missed last week, and we're kind of trying to make up for it with 2 this week. So basically, what sliding by is every week, Alex Uwe joins a team's fan base for a whole week, not only watching their games and rooting them on, but diving into their Reddit, team's Twitter, finding the ins and outs that make the fan base what it is. We talked about the Twins, we've heard about the Rockies, and now we're going to hear about the Kansas City Royals and the St. Louis Cardinals. So, although these 2 teams, Uwe, are not close in they are close in distance. They're about a 3.5-hour drive from each other. They have not started out nearly as close. The Royals are 12-20, and the Cardinals sit at 19-15. It's not like the Cardinals are dominating, but they're a pretty good ways ahead of the Royals. So, Uwe, let's talk Kansas City first.
Let's do it.
We're 7 years removed from the World Series run. 7 years into their rebuild after they dealt their core. What's going on?
I think as a Royals fan, we have enough nostalgia built in here with Salvador Perez still hanging on from the World Series team. We got Zach Greinke with a G back in the royal blue. So just some good nostalgia all around there. Um, it's not the best team we've ever thrown out there. A lot of really interesting young talent. It's not really clicking at all, but Bobby Witt, and this happened in the past week, not so much while I was watching the Royals closely, but has really started to put together a nice weekend out at Coors Field. We'll do that for you. And they brought MJ Melendez, huge catching prospect, really good hitter, led the minors in homers last year, and hasn't done anything yet, but it's also really cool. Those are the big highlights. We lost Adalberto Mondesi for the season already. So, get that out of the way early. You don't have to sweat it. Don't have to worry about it. He's just gone. So yeah, other than that, um, you know, I think it's okay. There was no expectations really going into this year. So we just want to watch our young guys do their thing.
So for on that note, I'm going to switch over to the Cardinals. And Ray, you might be able to chime in here in a second. But I do have a question. The Cardinals for the past several years, I know they won the World Series in 2011. They got back in 2013 and they've had playoff runs since. Kind of feel boring, right? They kind of feel like
Nah,
the Spurs.
nah, man.
They
Did you not
kind of
watch the
feel like
game?
the
Did you not
Spurs.
watch the game yesterday? Did you not watch
Yes,
that game
I understand.
yesterday?
I understand Albert Pujols pitched, and I look forward to when Albert Pujols joins the Angels on his 10-year service contract whenever he chooses to retire. But I mean, are they like the Spurs of baseball? They, like how do you feel about the Cardinals this year?
I don't know. I haven't been a Spurs fan, so I don't really know if that's the
Ray, what
comp.
do you think?
No, because the Spurs I respect.
Ooh,
Oh wow, wow. Okay, I got you. Yeah, so okay, interesting. I don't know. To me, it just feels like the Cardinals are just like kind of boring. I
nah.
understand they have great
Let
players,
me just
but
give you let me
I
just give
want
you
you to
the quick.
explain to me.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
here's the devil magic rundown right here. I don't know if you were paying attention to the rest of that game that Albert Pujols pitched, but that Sunday night baseball against the Giants against Carlos Rodon. It's one of those. Um, just torched him. This lineup has been disgusting the whole year. Adam Wainwright's still doing what he's doing on the other side of things. I have no idea how. Kind of same with Yadier Molina. They're just running on pure double magic at this point. I know I already said it, but it bears repeating. Goldschmidt Arenado is the tandem that everybody thought they could be after they just started taking all the powerhouse bats from the NL West. This is probably the best case scenario going on there. Tommy Edmonds been great. Tyler O'Neill has not been great, but I guess he's not that important. I guess with Harrison Bader, Dylan Carlson, just everything else is kind of clicking. Juan Yepez is their newest call up, and he's really taken the league by storm. Just absolutely crushed the Giants last weekend and this weekend, um, in his first week in the big leagues. So they're getting his bat in the lineup. Um, just having Albert Pujols back. There's a lot of good things going on here that go beyond just like, yeah, okay, they're all right. They're kind of boring. Like these are some powerhouse names that are hot right now.
I mean, I guess my point wasn't that like they're boring in the sense of like their team's no fun to watch, but it's more so oh, the Cardinals are always just going to be here, but they're nothing like there's nothing sexy about the team, you know. I love Wainwright, I love Yachty, and I hope Pools. I'm still rooting for him to get to 700. Uh, but I want to kind of dive in on Arenado. So last year, the Cardinals got $50 million and a solid power season from Arenado, but it was kind of far from who he is. Side note: if you haven't read Passan's recent article about his offseason, what he did to get his swing back, the getting fitted for bats, and all that stuff that he did, I'd strongly encourage that.
I
He
haven't.
started off the year. I encourage you to read it. He started off the year just absolutely on fire, and the last couple weeks, he's come down to earth a little bit. Is he at this point? Do you, I mean at this point I believe he's an MVP candidate, but do you think that's sustainable?
I mean, yeah, he's done it before. And
A legit MVP candidate.
people, if Coors Field delegitimizes you, then I guess you just never
No,
had
no,
a
no.
chance before that. But
I'm more so
he's
talking top three. I'm not saying Coors Field.
no, he is legitimately there, especially because the National League just doesn't have the AL names. Like, they don't have Otani, they don't have Trout, Vladdy, whoever to deal with. Like, you deal with half a season of Tatis, Bryce Harper playing with a torn UCL now. Um, I guess like the Dodgers got some guys, but like it's not nearly the same competition for the MVP race. And he's not really come back down to earth. Like player of the month in April, yeah, I guess, but he's still just kind of crushing the ball. So yeah, I think that's about as legit as you can have. Still a Gold Glove defender. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say really. Like it was an adjustment period for sure. Um,
So let me ask
yeah.
you about these two teams as a whole, because I had a really tough time trying to come up with any questions about the Royals.
Okay.
Um, so a sliding by staple. What's both of their ceilings this year, and reasons they may fall short, reasons they may overachieve or achieve. Um, what do you think?
The Royals are chilling at a cool 12-20 record right now. I guess ceiling it would technically be a 500 team. That would take Bobby Witt and MJ Melendez really popping off, and maybe if they bring up some other of their prospect depth, um, they do
Zach
have it.
Greinke having a K per 9 higher than 3.
No, they don't need that. But everything else going right would be pretty nice. Brad Keller has low key just had a really good season too, like sub 3 ERA, sub 1 WHIP. Um, these aren't sustainable things necessarily, but best case scenario is you just see the young guys pop off. And then the Cardinals right now, 19-15. Best case scenario, they just overtake the Brewers and win the division. Um, that's that's really all it is. They are a little lacking in the starting pitching department. Um, they got guys who I have no idea how they're doing what they're doing. With Wainwright, Michaelis has made a huge bounce back. Uh, and then the rest of the rotation too just hasn't been that good. Steven Matz, Dakota Hudson, Jordan Hicks, who's a starter now for some reason, and I don't really understand that. But
Still
otherwise,
throwing gas.
yeah, otherwise they have even more potential to unlock, I think, namely Tyler O'Neill. I'll leave that to you as like the biggest difference maker. Tyler O'Neill and or Dylan Carlson, both huge bats. And Tyler O'Neill showed it last year. Dylan Carlson has showed the potential, really a lot of prospect pedigree there. But yeah, if one or both of them, starts contributing like they're capable, then yeah, that's a team that I would take over the Brewers, even if the Brewers have really good pitching. So
I've
there you go.
I've I've noticed over the last couple of sliding bys, we haven't actually asked what the point of this exercise is. How do their fan bases feel about their teams this year
Um,
and like the trajectory of them?
I mean, it's fun. That's the reason we do it. But fan base wise, yeah, like I think I kind of try to embody that from the get go. Like Royals fans, not really. Like there were no expectations. I kind of knew that just about their fan base, like where they're at, and it's pretty true. Like everybody's pretty low key. If Bobby Witt does something cool, then awesome. Like we're here for it. Let's rally around it. And like I said, the nostalgia with Greinke being back, and yeah, I don't know. They're pretty content. They won a World Series pretty recently. And the Cardinals are always good. Like if they're not playing good baseball, then it's concerning. But they're just kind of used to really good baseball. So it's all good vibes in both teams,
And then
really.
I got a bonus question before we get to the final planned question. Um, Ray brought up Greinke's K per 9. A theory that came up in my head, and Ray, I want you to jump into. I realize he's getting older. I realize he's lost velocity, but he's always been a different thinker. What if he's just like not having fun striking guys out? Like, is there legitimacy to Greinke being like, I just want to get these guys to hit the ball, ground out, and I'll go in the dugout and
I don't
rest.
know what he's doing in terms of like having fun because I know he won a Cy Young with the Royals and stuff like that, but like, why? Is nobody else gonna take him? I don't know. I think he's just throwing BP up there, having fun until nobody pays him anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's part of it. That was just like my biggest question. Was like, I feel like if there was anyone in the league that could just like be like, oh, this isn't interesting anymore. Like striking guys out and like being a little bit more dominant in today's game is interesting. I just want to go and sit on the bench, so I'm gonna just get these outs in 7 pitches on two fly ball outs and a ground out. I mean, yeah, he's had 14 Ks and 30 plus innings, so it's kind of absurd. Uh, so, Uwe, back to you, unless you want to chime in on that. The Give me something specific you would not have seen, known, or like been aware of if you had not had the deep dive into the Royals fan base, into the Cardinals fan base, into their seasons and like trajectories.
Oh, I don't have anything as weird as like the
It
previous
doesn't
weeks.
have
I
to be
feel like,
weird. Just
nah, yeah, I don't. Um, I was a Royals fan for the MJ Melendez call up, which I feel like is pretty low key. He hasn't really done much, but he is a big time prospect. Like he looks pretty good. Um, just hasn't quite done much at the big league level. Um, and I don't know. I guess it's just like the low key, like Brad Keller having a super good season, kind of like keeping them afloat. You always need guys like that to kind of stand out amongst the rest of the muck. And then
is
Cardinals
there a
wise,
possibility he's a trade option at the deadline,
yeah,
or is he too
yeah,
young? Or in he,
no, yeah, he's a good trade candidate for sure. Not a high octane guy, like not a big strikeout pitcher, kind of a veteran. You kind of know what you're gonna get, but if teams need arms, probably will go after him.
can't Kansas City, Anaheim will be calling.
Yeah, and then the Cardinals side, I don't really know. It's kind of tough when the teams are firing in all cylinders. I guess just like Juan Yepez, really. I mean, he's kind of taken notice from the whole league just because he's been so good, but also
I
just
had no idea who
watching.
he was before we
Oh,
started
well,
recording
there you
this.
go. So Juan Yepez is a legitimately good prospect, and he's up now. Paul DeYoung, and you know that name. He is not in the big
Yes,
leagues for the Cardinals anymore. So they have another top prospect in Nolan Gorman waiting in the wings there. They've not brought him up yet, but he's tearing up AAA right now. I think he's in AAA, might be AA. He's tearing it up right now in the minors, and I think they're just I don't know they don't want to bring him up until they're absolutely ready. They have um, Edmundo, I think his name is Edmundo Sosa, at
Yeah,
shortstop. I couldn't remember if it was just Edmund or Edmundo. I think it's Edmundo.
Edmundo.
Yeah. So we'll see how long that lasts. They have a huge prospect waiting in the wings there too. So everybody's kind of pumped about that. In addition to
Gorman
what's
is in
already going.
AAA.
Yeah, he's AAA. Okay.
He's a 993 OPS, 645 slugging in AAA.
Yeah, he got big power. So
Oh, maybe the Cardinals won't be boring anymore.
they have a lot more potential. Like I said, Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Carlson, Nolan Gorman. It's a lot of power there that hasn't contributed much so far.
No, not at all.
Yep.
I mean, do you have anything else to say about these two teams before I wrap it up?
No, I don't think so. I think I've said what I've needed to say. Um, I do keep watching the teams after I've devoted my fandom to them. Going forward this week, I will be a Texas Rangers fan, and they are taking it to the Angels
Yes.
right now, baby. So
We're
you'll have to
only
see
up by
that.
2 in the 6th inning. Cool it. But I do want to point something out based off of what you said of how you're still following along. I every team that we've done so far, Ray can attest to this. When we're preparing for a podcast, we're getting our topics and everything ready. Uwe just has like a window open of random games, and he's like, "So and so just hit a home run." I'm like, who's that? And why are you watching that game right now? So Uwe is actually genuinely following along all of these team seasons. So he's not necessarily leaving you, but as he said, he's heading over to Globe Life Field remotely, and he's already beginning his time as a Rangers fan. Too bad for him for playing my Angels to start out the week. So keep your eyes peeled for next week's podcast. Alex will tell you about it.
Yeah, I'm like any other fan. I'm not watching every single pitch of every single game. It's a little unreasonable, but I'm definitely
Yeah.
following them as though they're my team for that week. So, yeah. I'll before we wrap it, yeah, I'll just leave you with one little fun tidbit, and that is our weekly edition of I don't what do we name this segment? Just shitting on the Reds. Like I don't know what else to to call it.
Well, I thought you were just gonna say weird stuff, but
No,
go ahead.
Christian Yelich hit his third cycle of his career, and all of them are against the Reds. Yep. So
And the Reds won that game,
yeah,
14-11.
the
And
Reds
then the Reds
bats have
threw a
come
no-hitter
alive.
and lost that game.
Yeah.
So that's
It-
baseball.
I'm to be honest, great job by Hunter Green pitching that game. Jose Quintana dealt. What's going on? He's in Pittsburgh now. But great job by Hunter Green. I'm just thankful that this happened. So my team isn't the last team to do it. Jared Weaver and Arredondo. Thank you.
Yeah, like 2008, right? So
Yeah.
2008.
elite company of just being an awful team. So, yeah. Sorry, Reds fans. That's all I got. That's all we got to say. Well, maybe that's what we'll call the segment. We'll just say sorry, Reds fans.
What's the owner's name? Bob.
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head.
I want to say all the Reds fans have like sell the team, Bob.
Yeah.
Call it
Yeah.
that.
Bob Castellini.
Where are you gonna go?
Yep.
Where are you gonna go? You can go over
To this podcast, the shit on the Reds.
Yeah, you can go over to our Twitter. Let us know. We can shit on the Reds more there too. At Beat the Shift BP, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. So yeah, I think that's all I've got to plug for today. Yeah, cool. Make sure to subscribe to the pod so you know when we release new ones. And that's about it for today. Thanks everybody. One last time, as always, Farbod.
Peace.